I want to talk to Illinois Congressman Mike Quigley about this. He's joining me now. He serves on the Appropriations Committee and Select Committee on Intelligence. Congressman, thanks for joining us. Right away, I want to get to what we just heard from Jake Traylor. I pulled up that tweet from the president within the last hour, and he's talking about this framework that we've been considering for the past 24 hours. And he says, quote, our deal is the exact opposite, referencing what Obama did in 2015, but nobody has seen it or knows what it is. It isn't even fully negotiated yet. So I want to get your direct reaction to that, because this is, again, very different from what we've seen in just the past 24 hours from the president.
Yeah, look, honestly, I don't think there's any new news here. When Secretary Rubio says maybe now it's time for negotiations or diplomacy first, well, the JCPOA is starting to look really good because, yes, the Obama administration had to release frozen assets. I don't see this deal happening unless that happens. And obviously those little sticking points about the nuclear program, all they're committed to is opening negotiations to that. Under JCPOA, the International Atomic Energy Agency was able to get into Iran to make sure that they were in compliance, and they were. No talk of ballistic missiles. And then we hear about the squabbling about what happens first, the end of the blockade or the opening of the strait. So, look, we're hoping for peace here, but this doesn't sound like a framework. It sounds like an opening of discussions to get a framework.
So then, Congressman, why so much back and forth? I mean, why bring the American people and take the American people through this in just, again, the past 24 hours? But we've seen this going on for months now.
That's exactly what's happened for months now. I mean, the president's given ultimatums and then backed off on them. He's done that, obviously, for years in Ukraine. So it's the same sort of foreign policy whipsaw effect. When the next day, we have absolutely no idea what the president's going to say tomorrow on any foreign policy issue, particularly as one as critical as Iran.
And so MS Now is reporting on the details of this agreement really do indicate conditions on Iran that are arguably no different than before the war. Do you support a short-term deal that doesn't directly address Iran's nuclear program, but maybe allows for more negotiations to come?
Well, we always favor diplomacy. You always favor an end of hostilities. But I think you have to be realistic and understand we're going to have to concede points. Negotiating with the regime is difficult. And we don't have all the cards, as the term president likes to use. So it's going to sound a heck of a lot like what Obama got if something gets agreed to.
Interesting point there. Let's talk about what happened last week. Republican leaders abruptly canceled a vote to limit President Trump's war powers in Iran. Do you believe there are now enough votes to maybe pass this War Powers Act in the House?
It confirms a notion I've had for some time that the Speaker of the House can't count noses and that he's lost votes on this. The fact of the matter is, in Chicago, gas is $6 a gallon. Inflation's at 3.8%. They're getting very, very worried about the midterms in their caucus. So you're starting to see pushback. And if they don't have the votes, the last thing they want is to lose in the House. Never mind if it could ever pass in the Senate. Basically, it would be the president's own party, rebuking him on a war he never should have gotten into in the first place.
Congressman, while I have you, I want to get your reaction to what we saw just outside the White House yesterday when that man opened fire and firing at Secret Service officers. Details about the suspect are limited right now, including a motive, and they're unclear. But this is the third time in just the past month that shots were fired near the president. So, what are your thoughts, your honest opinions?
Look, it's a pattern of behavior, of toxicity, sort of a normalization of political violence, and obviously great concern on both parties' part. So I think our commitment has to be that it's okay to disagree, but not to incite, and that we need to be part of the solution here and recognize this. Look, I believe there were something like 50,000 more threats to members of Congress last year than the year before. And obviously, I was in the room where it happened on January 6th. And without the courage of the Capitol Police and D.C. Police, I'm not sure I would be here, or our fragile little experiment in democracy. So we all have a stake in it to preserve our democracy and move forward as John Lewis said, we came here in different ships, but we're in the same boat now.
Also making headlines this week, there's been some rare bipartisan backlash against the Justice Department's nearly $1.8 billion settlement fund, which could potentially compensate those who committed violence on January 6th. What do you say to taxpayers who may have to fund payouts to rioters who attacked at the Capitol?
Yeah, look out. This may be the ultimate corrupt act by this president. The fact of the matter is he settles his own case with himself as both sides of a case and gets off scot-free. And he doesn't have to worry about getting audited by the IRS when, well, no one should be above the law. And they create a fund for those who attacked our democracy. 4 police officers died as a result of this conflict. 140 were injured. The nation was traumatized. They threatened to kill the vice president of the United States. So first he pardoned them. The head of the Proud Boys was supposed to serve 22 years in jail. Instead, now, I believe his quote was he's expecting to get somewhere between $2 and $3 million and no time in jail, no restitution. I think what this does is encourage those who want to break the law and threaten our democracy. It's okay. You're going to profit from it.
Wow. Yeah, and to that point, I spoke to one of the former Capitol Police officers this week, and he called it a slap in the face. Congressman Mike Quigley, thank you so much for your time today.